to speak that evening in defense of creationism. Huxley had lectured on behalf of evolution in many English cities and was not planning to attend that night, but Chambers, the spiritualist advisor to Huxley, was impressed to find and tell him he must attend. Wilberforce delivered a vigorous attack on evolution for half an hour before a packed audience of 700 people. His presentation was outstanding and the audience was apparently with him. But when Wilberforce turned and rhetorically asked Huxley a humorous question, whether it was through his grandfather or his grandmother that Huxley claimed descent from an ape, Huxley was extremely sharp-witted, and at the bishop's question he clasped the knee of the person sitting next to him and said, "He is delivered into my hands." Huxley arose, worked the audience up to a climax, and then declared that he would feel no shame in having an ape as an ancestor, but would be ashamed of a brilliant man who plunged into scientific questions of which he knew nothing. John W. Clutt, Science and Religion in Studies in Creation, 1985, page 4546. At this, the entire room went wild, some yelling one thing and others another. On a pretext so thin, the evolutionist in England became a power which scientists feared to oppose. We will learn that ridicule heaped on ridicule through the public press accomplished the same results for American evolutionists in Dayton, Tennessee in 1925. The Orgeal meteorite, 1861, was one of the many hoaxes perpetrated to further the cause of evolution. Someone inserted various dead microbes and then covered it over with a surface appearing like the meteorite. The object was to show that life came from outer space, but the hoax was later discovered. Scientific America, January 1965, page 52. A remarkable number of hoaxes have occurred since then. Men working desperately have tried to provide scientific evidence that does not exist. In the mid-1990s, a meteorite from Mars with a dead organism on it was trumpeted in the press, but ignored were the conclusions of competent scientists that discovery was highly speculative. Sir Francis Galton, in 1822 to 1911, Galton was Charles Darwin's cousin, who amplified on one of the theory's logical conclusions. He declared that the science of eugenics was the key to humanity's problems, put the weak, infirm and aged to sleep. Adolf Hitler, an ardent evolutionist, used it successfully in World War II. Otto Scott, Plain Gott, in Chalcedon Report number 247, February 8, 1968, page 1. Wallace break with Darwin. Darwin's close friend Russell Wallace eventually separated from Darwin's position, a position he given Darwin when one realized that the human brain was far too advanced for evolutionary process to have produced it. Lawrence C. Easley, was Darwin wrong about the human brain? Harper's Magazine, 1955. Herbert Spencer, 1820-1903, along with certain other men, Friedrich Nietzsche, Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud, John Dewey, introduced evolutionary modes and morality into social fields, sociology, psychology, education, welfare, economics, with devastating effects on the 20th century. Spencer, also a spiritist, was the one who initially invented the term evolution. R. Milner, Encyclopedia of Evolution, 1990, page 159. Spencer introduced sociology into Europe, clothing it in evolutionary terms. From there it travelled to America. He urged that the unfit be limited so society could properly evolve. Harvey E. Barnes, Historical Sociology, 1948, 13. In later years, even the leading evolutionists of the time, such as Huxley and Darwin, became tired of the fact that Spencer could do nothing but theorize and knew so little of real-life facts. The Archaeopteryx, 1861 to 1877. These consisted of several fossils from a single limestone quarry in Germany, each of which the quarry owner sold at high price. One appeared to possibly be a small dinosaur skeleton, complete with wings and feathers. European museums paid high prices for them, as well as we will learn below. In 1985, the Archaeopteryx was shown to be a fake. Ernest Haeckel, in 1834 to 1990, a teacher at the University of Jena in Germany, was the most zealous advocate of Darwinism on the continent in the 19th century. He drew a number of fraudulent charts, first published in 1868, which purported to show that embryos were almost identical to those of other animals. Reputable scientists repudiated them within a few years, for embryologists recognized the deceit. See Chapter 16, Vestiges and Recapitulation, on our website for the charts. Darwin and Haeckel had a strong influence on the rise of world communism. Daniel Geisman, Scientific Origins of National Socialism, Social Darwinism in Ernest Haeckel and the German Monist League, 1971. March Hoard Series, 1870. Othniel C. March claimed to have found 30 different kinds of horse fossils. In Wyoming and Nebraska, he reconstructed and arranged them in a small to large evolutionary series, which was never in a straight line. Encyclopedia Britannica, 1976, Volume 7, page 13. Although displayed in museums for a time, the great majority of scientists later repudiated this horse series. Charles Depper, Transformations of the Animal World, page 105. J. Edgar Kut, Implications of Evolution, 1960, page 149. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844-1900. Nietzsche was a remarkable example of a man who fully adopted Darwinian principles. He wrote books declaring that the way to evolve was to have wars and kill the weaker races in order to produce a super race. T. Walter Wollbank, Alston, M. Taylor, Civilization Past and Present, Volume 2, 1949, page 274. Darwin, in Origin of Species, also said that this needed to happen. The writings of both men were read by German militarists and led to World War I. Hitler valued both Darwin's and Nietzsche's books. When Hitler killed 6 million Jews, he was only doing what Darwin taught. It is of interest that a year before he defended John Scopes' right to teach Darwinianism at the Dayton monkey trial, Clarence Darrow declared in court that the murderous thinking of 2 young men was by their having learned Nietzsche's vicious Darwinism in the public schools. W. Brigham classified speeches. Asa Gray was the first leading theistic evolutionary advocate in America at the time when Darwin was writing in his books. Gray, a Presbyterian, worked closely with Charles W. Eliot, president of Harvard, in promoting evolution as Christian teaching, yet teaching long ages and the book of Genesis as fable. The Challenger was a British ship dispatched to find evidence on the ocean bottom of evolutionary change. During its 1872 to 1876 voyage, it carried on seafloor dredging but found no fossils developing on the bottom of the ocean. By this time, it was obvious to evolutionists that no fossils were developing on either land or sea, yet they kept quiet about the matter. Over the years, theories, hoaxes, false claims, and ridiculous favoring evolution were spread abroad, but facts refuting it, when found, were kept hidden. Karl Marx, 1818-1883, is closely linked with Darwinianism. That which Darwin did to biology, Marx, with the help of others, did to society. All the worst political philosophies of the 20th century emerged from the dark cave of Darwinianism. Marx was thrilled when he read Origins of Species, and he immediately wrote Darwin and asked to dedicate his own major work, Dis Capital, to him. Darwin, in his reply, thanked him but said it would be best not to do so. In 1866, Karl Marx wrote to Friedrich Engels that Origin of the Species contained the basis in natural history for the political and economic system for an atheist world. Engels, the co-founder of world communism with Marx and Lenin, wrote to Karl Marx in 1856, Darwin, who I am just now reading, is splendid. See Zirkel, Evolution, Marxian Biology and the Social Scene, 1959. Page 85. In 1861, Marx to Engels, Darwin's book is very important and serves me as a basis in natural selection for the class struggle in history. At Marx's funeral, Engels said that as Darwin had discovered the law of organic evolution in natural history, so Marx had discovered the law of evolution in human history. Otto Ruth, Karl Marx, 1948, page 366. As Darwin emphasized competitive survival as the key to advancement, so communism focused on the value of labor rather than the laborer. Like Darwin, Karl Marx thought he had discovered the law of development. He saw history in stages as the Darwinians saw geological strata and successive forms of life. William Grant Summer, 1840-1910, applied evolutionary principles to political economics at Yale University. He taught many of America's future businesses and industrial leaders that strong business should succeed and the weak perish,